And welcome back. It's time for another UnderstandingE Mastermind. And yes, once again, make sure that's all fine and done it. Yep. Once again, you're stuck with me. But perhaps not for the reason you may expect. I'll talk about more on that in a moment. Yes, hope you're all doing well. Happy Tuesday. If you are in the USA, hope you had a great Labor Day. I know it was Labor Day yesterday, so you all had the day off. I flew back from Amsterdam yesterday, so yeah, I wasn't around much myself either. First day back in the office. So yeah, hope you're all doing well. You, by all means, feel free to get involved. On the right-hand side of your screen, there is a chat box. If you click top chat and change it down to live chat, you'll get up to date with all the live chat as of when it comes in. Yeah, so happy September. That snuck around quick, didn't it? So yeah, we are now in September, and that only really means one thing, following on from what we spoke about a couple of weeks ago about being back to school. Or was it last week? No, 2 weeks ago, back to school. So yeah, kids go back to school this week, which does mean in terms of e-commerce, Christmas is just around the corner. We have Black Friday and all that fun stuff coming up in the next couple of months. So yeah, this is where that time of the year where things really do start to get interesting for the majority of people, where Christmas is your main selling point of the year. So as I highlighted at the beginning, Mr. O is not with us. He's currently in the car driving back down to Bristol. Myself and Matt drove up this morning to Manchester. We had about a 6 hour meeting, talking all about UE strategy, what we should be working on next, what you should be expecting to see from us, and all of that good stuff. So Magento 2 was mentioned quite heavily. There's also, like I said, the software is still there, still being spoke about, still lots of things going on there. But yeah, obviously the side effect of Matt driving up was that in order for him to drive down and miss the traffic, bearing in mind he set off at like 4 in the morning, and if he set off any later, he wouldn't be getting back till maybe 8 o'clock at night, and that would be dangerous. The side effect of that was that he would miss today's meeting, but nevertheless, we will carry on our best without him here, and he should be with us next week. So the main topic that I wanted to touch on today was one that we have spoke about in the past on one of our private webinars, but this was one that we felt would feel nice in a public setting. Again, one to bear in mind as you are approaching the sort of busy time of year, because obviously over the next few weeks and months, you're hopefully going to be more and more busy, selling more and more items, and your focus will need to be primarily on your day job, which, if you're watching this, should be selling products online. Now, we did talk about the multiple revenue streams of millionaires previously, and billionaires, it's all the same, and that is the key really here, is that they have multiple revenue streams. They don't just rely on one source of income, they rely on multiple sources of income. And I mean, we could say that UnderstandingE did similar things. So obviously we had the subscription source of income, then we had affiliate sources of income for things like simple servers and good products that myself and Matt recommended. We did have advertising to a degree, again, sort of links in with affiliate. So whilst we had one business and the core of our business was always the subscription model, we did also, off the back of that, build in multiple revenue streams. Now, some of them are what you would call active income, and some of them are passive income. Now, whilst with UnderstandingE, it's very different to your traditional e-commerce business, we will be looking at this from a more of a traditional business point of view, such as your own. So there's two sort of clear distinctions when it comes to active and passive income. Active income is basically money that is earned from work that you do actively. So you selling your products online is an active income. You source the products, you create the products, you list them, you do all the marketing copy for them, and then you sell them. You pick, pack, and dispatch. You send it out, and that it's a very active income. If that is the main business that you run, then you are actively in that business, and that is classed as an active income. Following on from that, you then have the passive income. Now, it basically is more of like gaining an interest or dividends. It's an example of an income which is accrued over time as a byproduct of work that you have done previously, but maybe no longer are doing yourself. Renting property, for example, rental income is a fantastic example of passive income. You may have bought the property, you've done it up, and now you are renting it out, but you have very little to do with that. That just generates money in the background. So that is a passive income. It doesn't require you to go to work and earn it. It just does its own thing in the background. So obviously within your own business, you could have passive income as well. However, for most people, you are going to be on a verge of active income with an element of passive, maybe, unless you're at the stage where you have removed yourself from the business. You're the entrepreneur, the business runs itself, you have managers and stuff in place, and that has freed up your time to go and work on something else. Then that business can then become a passive income. So it turns out that there was a famous article. I don't have the link to it, I don't think. No. So a few stats. We'll throw a few stats out. There is 7 types of income according to the 7 incomes of millionaires. The average time that it took millionaires to make their first million was 18 years. And that is from the time they started working. So basically from day one of you starting work. So for me, it would be finishing university. That's when I started, working properly, which was coming up to 10 years ago, which is great because I've still got 8 years now to make my million, which is great. It takes the pressure off a little bit. But the interesting fact is, whilst it took on average 18 years to make the first million, after that, it only took 18 months to make the second million. Money makes money. The other thing is obviously speculations and investments and stuff like that. And obviously, like this time last year, Bitcoin was the big thing. I personally know of 3 off the top of my head people who were invested in Bitcoin back in 2013. And needless to say, at the end of last year, they were millionaires purely due to a speculative gamble or investment that they took on Bitcoin back then. So that's obviously there can be anomalies in this, and that's one thing to bear in mind. But let's start by taking a look at the 7 income streams of millionaires. So number 1, unsurprisingly, is earned income. It's money that they earn from performing a job. So that it would be your salary. Whatever you decide to pay yourself, that is classed as your main income. After that, I've lost you. Where have you gone? And there you are. Sorry, wrong screen there. The second income is profit earned by selling something. So again, this would then become your dividends. So again, whilst your salary is what you pay yourself, your dividends is the profit earned by you running your business, the profit that the company makes, which is then passed on to you as the shareholder. Can largely be deemed passive to a degree, but again, it is active because your dividends are likely going to match the amount of effort that you put into your business in real life. Third income stream is interest. Now, this is where the simplest term is interest is where you lend someone money, and then you accrue an interest on that lend. As we mentioned before, it's sort of different. Again, it's different. It is different to rental, because rental comes with its own separate problems and instances. But interest at its very base level is, and you don't really get it that much over here anymore. But I remember maybe, again, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you could open bank accounts and ISAs and things with an interest rate. You'd max out your ISAs and you would get an interest rate for investing your money with someone. They would then pay you for investing that money with them. The fifth income is rental. So again, we spoke about this at the beginning. A property that you own, it requires a heavy investment up front, but you usually would get a monthly payment back from that, which is nice, while still also maintaining the initial asset, the initial cash investment into the property. You would still retain that, and at the end of, if you decided that you didn't want to rent anymore, you would still have that lump sum when you came on to sell the property. So rental is a good way of making your money work for you. If you had a lump of cash in a bank account, you could invest it into bricks, allow someone to rent the house from you, and therefore turn that money into making you hundreds, if not thousands of pounds a month, whilst also still holding on, not costing you anything. You still, as long as the housing price doesn't dip, you still have that core equity invested. Yeah, interesting. That seems to be what a lot of people do. A lot of millionaires will buy property and rent it out. Capital gains is sixth, which is money that you get as a result of an increasing value or an asset that you own. So again, going back to I can talk about this to a degree. I don't have to pay capital gains tax because it was the home that I lived in, my only home. But I did have an apartment in Manchester, which I sold a couple of weeks ago, and I sold it for more than what I bought it for due to the cost of the property and the area going up. So therefore, that is classed as a capital gain. Again, that can also go hand in hand with the interest. Sorry, the rental. Chances are, if you hold property long enough, it will go up in value as it becomes more and more of an in-demand commodity as the population rises. I'm sure we all know. I remember like my aunties and grandmas saying that they bought their first house for like £2,000, and yeah, I get it. The difference in like wages and stuff was different back then, but still, you look at the correlation between house prices and like the base rate of economics. There was they made a lot of money. They could have made a lot of money. And seventh is royalties. Now, royalties is a funny one. Again, this probably only really appeals or happens with very few select people. And that's where, how best to describe it? Royalties is where it refers to money that you've earned from your products, services, or ideas. So again, franchising your idea is one way of doing this. Also, patents can be another way of doing this. I remember a few years ago being in Fort Lauderdale in Florida, and there was this massive house on the river there. And I asked what the sort of guy who we were staying with, whose house that was. And that was apparently the guy who painted PVC windows or PVC plastic. That was the only thing he ever did in his life. And literally a patent for that. He was in this $50 million mansion in Fort Lauderdale with a yacht and all the rest of it. It was incredible. So that is another way that you could talk about, financial rewards coming in. Royalties. It tends to be inventors or, again, personalities who lend their name to something or some deal like that. So that is ultimately the 7 income streams of millionaires. Now, when we look at that list, we have the first income stream is obviously the most obvious one. It's the money that you pay yourself, your job. It's your main income. So again, if you're selling products online, that is your salary. That's what you pay yourself. The second one is your sort of dividends. That's large. Again, if you're the business owner, if you're the shareholder, that's going to be your next most likely source of income. And that is semi-active, semi-passive, as we've mentioned. Going on from there, this would all then depend on what you did with your money. So rental income and capital gains is another one. Again, property, investing into property is what a lot of millionaires will do. They'll invest into property or other businesses and therefore have an additional dividend stream coming in. And that's the key. That are like investments and capital gains. They are the most obvious ways in which you can increase your revenue streams. So it's a curious one to be aware of, bearing in mind that most people will look at their income as their only source of revenue, which for a lot of people is the case. For a lot of employed people, that is the case. But as a business owner, you can often have the ability to invest more of your time, more of your energy, and also more of your profits from your business into other ventures, whether that be into other businesses. And that's something which we haven't really spoken about. So again, bringing this back to myself and Matt obviously has Widget Chimp, which is the separate business. We also have eSeller Cafe, which is a separate business. And ultimately, as shareholders, as that is now an additional business, an additional revenue stream, which can generate more money for you as the business owner. So general message here is to think about over the next few months. Obviously, you're going to have Christmas coming up. You're going to have, a busy time of year. What would it take for you to add an additional revenue stream to your business? What would it take to basically bring in another source of revenue? What would be the lowest hanging fruit for you to be able to do that? Now, I understand that there are different ways of looking at this, and certain millionaires and billionaires believe that actually a better tactic is to focus all your time and energy into one business, into one aspect of your business. And by giving that 100% of your time and effort, that is better than splitting your time and energy 50-50 between two businesses, or 33 by three businesses. And I truly don't believe there's a right or wrong answer here. I think it does genuinely depend on the market that you're in and what your business is doing. But from a security point of view, having more fingers in more pies is the safer, more secure way to securing your multiple revenue streams. As we've spoken about before, when it comes to selling online, you could put all your energy and time into Amazon, and that's great, and you might see a huge success, but you make one false move and Amazon bans your account, your business disappears. Whereas with adding in eBay, a website, Etsy, yes, you're splitting your attention, but that's where multi-channel software comes in. And you're also spreading the risk. So again, if you've got a third eBay, Amazon, your website, and Amazon decides to kick you off, 2/3 of your business is still surviving and thriving, and you should still be able to manage your business. It doesn't mean curtains. So that's the sort of angle that I would recommend. More revenue streams, the better. It does make things a little bit more secure in case the untoward was to happen to one of them. But ultimately, it's down to you. So with that said, if anybody has any questions before we go, today will be a quick one. Like I said, I know after the weekend, the long weekend in the US, you guys probably don't want to be listening to me waffle on for too much. So if you have any questions, stick them in the chat over on the right-hand side, and I'll get back to them as soon as possible. And let me just take a look there. Yeah, that's all fine. Yes, like I said, Matt should be back with us next week. He's currently driving. We had a chat. We had a meeting up here in Manchester this morning. And yeah, with that said, I will try it. One of the things on my to-do list is to get some new webinar topics set up. for us all to discuss over the next few weeks as we get into the prime selling period for most of you. Yeah, so with that said, today, guys, it has been a quick one. Thank you so much for taking time to join us, as always. And yeah, if you need us, the forums are always open. Blah, blah, blah. I can't get my words out. The forums are always open over at understandingE.com/forums. The link to our Facebook group is in the description below. Click show more. You'll be able to see us there. You can get involved with other sellers and ask questions and get involved. To keep up with the latest news from the world of e-commerce, go and check out esellcafe.com. And I think that's about everything. So with that said, I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I'll catch you in the next mastermind, if I don't speak to you before, in the forums or over on Facebook. I'll see you then. Have a great week.